Great news as Joe Biden says that if he's elected president, he would get out your third stimulus check right away. Third? Hey, good morning, everybody. This is LALATE Mornings. Hope you're good and safe. This is our 30-minute programming block every morning. The Net's now most watched morning show every morning at 8:30 Pacific Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you're good and safe. Hope the butter is buttering, the coffee's toasting. The coffee's toasting. Oh, is that Larry Kudlow math? The coffee's percolating. The toast is toasting. I'm here, you are here. And to all my viewers who are homeless, your thoughts are in my wishes. Let's get right to the really great news overnight across the board about stimulus. The Purple Power's full center court, and we're ready to go. Let's get right to it. Joseph Biden said that if he's elected president, he would immediately send out your third stimulus check. Did we miss something here? Ironically, the comments by Joe Biden suggest that he thinks your second stimulus check is going to go out in the next few weeks, which is an incredible sense of optimism, an incredible sense of digression from the Hot Mess Express, which is Nancy Pelosi. Joe Biden thinks that America needs stimulus. He's not been detailed about the amount of stimulus, the amount of check, the amount of details of the program. But ironically, and really great news, is that the one thing that he made perfectly clear is stimulus checks. That a third round of stimulus checks need to go out as soon as he becomes president in January and takes oath of office. The question is then, when is the second round of stimulus checks, as we all wait here? And Larry Kudlow is doing the math. He's like, third, second, 1 + 1. Larry Kudlow's like 1 + 1 = 5. We're trying to figure out where that second round of stimulus checks go out. Now, overnight, the Purple Power really took to social media incredible numbers. As I tweeted, the Senate members who are up for a vote for fall election, who are both Republicans and Democrats, who have not done anything for your second stimulus check, to really tag them and say, hey, you don't get me a standalone bill for second stimulus check. You don't get me a standalone bill for FPUC. You don't get me a standalone bill for eviction moratorium as the helicopter comes to take me. Then we're not reelecting you. Now, here is some more great news. All the reports today that are out about second stimulus check, the news reports out about second stimulus check, talk about what I have been saying to you, that there's an agreement in principle. Everyone refers to it in a different way. Agreement in principle, agreement in form. I call it a check deal. A check deal that all Americans will get a second stimulus check, $1,200, really great news. Married couples will get a double check, $2,400, great news. Dependents will get a check, also great news. The news reports also understand what I've been reporting for weeks, that this is great news because it's a digression from the first CARES Act, where dependents who are adults would not get a stimulus check. This time around, they are lined up to get a stimulus check because both Republicans and Democrats agree upon it. Democrats want to do $1,200, Republicans want to do $500. I don't think they're going to go to the mat about that. And then the Democrats want to not take out for child support. Republicans do want to take out for child support. So there we are. The week has sort of gone like this a little bit already. We're only on a Wednesday. And because last week Mark Meadows, chief of staff to Donald Trump, said, hey, I want to do a standalone check deal. I want to do a standalone extension of FPUC. I want to do a standalone deal for eviction moratorium. But he didn't write standalone bills. And so it ultimately rests in the fate of Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin. Now, here's what's really interesting. This is a mixture of really good news, great news, and are you totally wacko news? Let me get right to the details. First, there are two major news reports out today about second stimulus checks. And I got to tell you, they are both incredibly what I call tone deaf. Tone deaf means when the reporter does not have an idea of what's going on in society. So the first report is out of CNBC, out of due respect to the channel. It is inherently tone deaf. The title of the article is, if you won't need, the title of the article is Prospects for a Second Stimulus Check You've Been Dreaming of? Well, yeah. Of a vacation? Not so fast, says financial planners. What? The article features what appears to be a husband and wife. Clearly, it's stock photography, but it's a white man and wife in their beautiful, lush house, looking at a computer, planning a vacation with their second stimulus check. Oh, how adorable! Not. It then goes on to talk about that. To this point, 49% of Americans surveyed said they'd be more willing to either book their first or second vacation this year if they receive a second stimulus check from the federal government, according to financial services planner IPX 1031. My response is IPX 1031. There's the door. Just show yourself to the door. Thank you. The entire scope of the article is that 50% of Americans polled by this company, which I've never heard of, are ready and excited to use their second stimulus check to go do a luxurious trip. Okay, one, not. Two, there's no trip for a married couple for $1,000, $1,200. I mean, you can't even get a pump of gas to go to the corner for that. I mean, it's really incredulous. That's the first issue of Tone Deaf today. If you thought that was not enough, there's another issue of tone deaf. This report is out of the Motley Crew, and which is, not ABC or NBC, but it's the Motley Crew. And that article is entitled, Optimistic You're Going to Get a Second Stimulus Check? Plan to invest it in these three stocks. What? It then goes on to have an incredible, 2 pages of article from a guy named Tim Maor, South Carolina-based CFP, about it's time to invest your second stimulus check in these three stocks. Tone deaf. Ultimately, this is always what I have worried for you with Purple Power, is not so much Nancy and Mark or Steve and Chuck. It's this. Broadcast news reporters have suddenly made stimulus check a trip to Disneyland? No. As we sit here today, and these are business channels. These aren't, this is not the fluffy news. These are the business channels where they're supposed to be talking about business news, where unemployment numbers are going to be released tomorrow, Thursday, and if they top another 1 million claims, it'll be 22 consecutive week of unemployment claims since the pandemic, the start of the worst since the Great Depression. Eviction numbers are at 40 million worldwide, the worst since the Great Depression. The number of people that are going hungry is 24 billion or 24 million. 50% of Americans can't make rent. I mean, but let's show a husband and a wife planning their, Roman vacation on the second stimulus check coming. That looks really good. Not. So that's my worry for you. It's become like a double-edged sword of concern that we have Nancy Pelosi problems, we have Mark Meadows problems, but then we have this. Okay, so here is the other issue of news this morning, which is a mixture of really great news, but also sort of convoluted news, confusing news. Let me explain what's going on. The poll numbers are out between Biden and Trump, and as you know, this channel is not political. I have always said that the moment your second stimulus checks go out, Trump will get a 3% poll jump. It's just the way that money works in this country. You put $1,200 in the hands of a person, the polls will jump Trump by 3%. It happened in the first stimulus check round. He went up 3% in every state polled because the stimulus checks were landing in people's bank accounts. Okay, so what would happen here? Well, new change in polls reveal that How has the president handled the coronavirus? Approval rating rose 47%, the highest since mid-May. But the interesting thing is that the Trump's numbers against Biden are higher in several swing states, so it's getting to be a closer race. Trump has always been behind, but now he's improving in those numbers, and it's a closer race. Arizona, it's now a 2-point race, Biden leading. Florida, it's now a 3-point race, Biden leading. Michigan, now a 6-point race, Biden leading. North Carolina, 1-point race. Pennsylvania, 3-point race, and Wisconsin, 5-point race. What does this mean for your stimulus checks? This is where it becomes confusing. One, it would signal that anyone with a brain cell in the Republican Party would get out the second stimulus checks really as fast as possible on the eve of the election, because going into the polling place, if you are representing the president's interests, you would want those checks to land in people's bank accounts, because it's going to give a 3-point pop, and that 3-point pop, that delivery of second stimulus checks from the IRS to you on the minute before the election could actually give Trump the re-election, could win Trump the presidency. If a Republican strategist doesn't see that, they're completely ignorant. Now, on the other side, what about Biden? Now, this is what's a little bit confusing. It would behoove Biden, understanding what I just said, to get the stimulus checks out earlier, not later. The checks for stimulus should be going out now. They should be going out now, because you know that getting the checks out from Trump at the very eve of the election, in the last few weeks of, let's say, October or late September, would give Trump that bump, which you don't want the bump going right into the election, going into the polling place. You want to give Trump, if there's going to be a bump, if you're Biden and you're worried that there's going to be a bump for the checks, you do them now. You don't wait. And then there's Nancy. I mean, the Nancy factor here is anything that a Democratic strategist looking at these numbers would be worried about. Ultimately, when you're going into the polling place this fall to vote for Republican or Democrat, and if you're pissed off at Nancy, you could be pissed off at Joe, and that is not something that the Biden camp would want. So why is the Biden camp, from a Democratic strategist position, not getting Nancy to do something with stimulus checks? Just get stimulus checks out. I mean, just get one thing out, Nancy. Don't make it look like our Democratic Party is a bunch of ignorant fools, because if you do that, Nancy could be risking Biden's win in the fall. I gotta tell you, things move slow, they don't move fast, and your purple power has really empowered a lot of people. It's empowered the movement for two regards. One, it's woken up congressional leaders. I've seen your letters. A lot of you have been sending me the letters, responses from your elected officials. Incredible. They are responding back and says, yes, standalone checks, standalone bill for stimulus checks, standalone bill for FPUC, standalone bill for eviction moratorium. Yes. They also understand the pressure. A lot of these congressional seats that are up for re-election this fall are very close, so they can't be risking games with, not getting out stimulus checks. And then there's the Biden factor and the Trump factor. If you're Biden's camp, you can't succumb to Nancy Pelosi's strategy, because no stimulus relief by Nancy Pelosi, a strategy of Nancy Pelosi to let everything just implode and we'll deal with it in January, is too risky for the Biden camp. It's too risky because ultimately it could become a referendum on getting incumbents out because they did nothing for you. Now, the last thing that's really sort of a strange twist in the whole microcosm of this, and it's a little too complicated to deal with in early morning, and you're like, oh my God, Alan, you give me so many facts, but this is a lot, is that COVID-19 cases are dropping. Okay, so as COVID-19 cases are dropping, some of the states that have what are called watch lists, which says counties cannot open to do certain things, certain counties are coming off the watch list, which means that more jobs are being created, which means that more places are reopening again. An example is Orange County in California. It came off the watch list like San Diego in the last few days. There's new talk that LA County could come off the watch list this week. Coming off the watch list means that a lot of businesses that are closed could reopen, and a lot of businesses that are open but are tighter knit could expand. This is really great news for you for purposes of employment. If you were laid off because of COVID-19 because of issues like shutdowns or COVID-19 cases, new jobs could be coming to you. It could also signal that there is more relief on the horizon. But as you sit here today, what should you be thinking about? One, there's an agreement in principle about the second stimulus check. There's an agreement in principle about the second stimulus check. Two, there's an agreement upon how quickly you would get the second stimulus check. This is also really great news. To date, no one has digressed from that. Maybe that's what worries Nancy, maybe it's not. But the fact that it can be gotten to you within 10 days of any vote by the House and the Senate, this is incredibly great news. Third, as the stimulus checks, there's always been that talk, and I've talked about it as well, that the president could, not legally, but could issue an executive order to send out stimulus checks. And a lot of people have wondered, hey, is the Republican National Convention this week going to be a place and time for the president to announce incredible stimulus relief? At the moment, it doesn't look like it, but we still shall see. Third, LWA is really sort of ramping up. More about stimulus checks that I forgot to mention is that, you know, the move about how to do stimulus checks as an agreement is not being consistent. And that's what you've been on, Purple Power, and that's what's incredibly great news, is that you have told Mark Meadows, hey, you know, last week you said standalone bill for stimulus checks. Do the standalone bill for stimulus checks. I mean, everyone heard the interviews. He didn't say it once. He said it like 5 times. He said, I'll do a standalone bill for stimulus checks. Okay, Mark, do it. Do it. That's the problem we're having, is that we have to deal with Nancy, we have to deal with Mark Meadows, who a lot of people, you know, thought should not even be in the negotiations. Oh, and where is Steve Mnuchin? Has he, like, you know, gone on one of those Roma vacations for $1,200 second stimulus checks? I mean, Steve Mnuchin has been nowhere to be seen for like a week. Is he, you know, braiding the hair of Chuck Schumer? I mean, where is Chuck Schumer and Steve Mnuchin? No chatter whatsoever about second stimulus checks. LWA, really great news overnight. If you didn't catch it, let me recap. LWA, FEMA now says really great news that they never said before. One, that they say for all the states that are currently approved on LWA, they have guaranteed enough money for 3 weeks of benefits. This is really great news because they originally said they would not perhaps have that money, that they may only have 2 weeks. All the states will have at least 3 weeks. Second great news, that the early states may have 4 weeks. The earlier states are first in time, and FEMA pays first in time. They may have extra money for them to pay for 4 weeks. Wow. Really great news. Next item of great news is that a lot of analysts are now reporting that it's likely that the money will land in the state's coffers to send out to you, aka you'll get it, within the next 7 days. I mean, this is also really incredible news because we had always heard from FEMA and all these other sources that you would have to wait till September, October for this money. So really great news. The amount, the time, all great news. The one item that's not good news, this is bad news, is that a few states, and I don't know what states they are, I'm sorry, all I know is Arizona is one of them, is that some states are not paying the $300 a week as calculated back to the first week that it started. What do I mean? You know, FPUC ended in late July, remember that? And so you would assume the first week of LWA would be the next week after that, and the second week of LWA the week after that. Not so in Arizona and some states where they're saying, no, the first week of LWA is like late August. Oh, okay, well, how about the earlier weeks of August? We're not paying those weeks for LWA. We're doing it forward. So what that means is it does not mean you're not going to get $300 a week. It does not mean you're not going to get $900, you know, 3 weeks of it or 4 weeks of it. What it means is that they're paying it 1 week at a time, not a lump sum. So bottom line is that 3 weeks have passed since the expiration of FPUC. If 3 weeks have passed, some states are not sending you a lump sum of 3 weeks of LWA. They're not sending you a lump sum of $900. They're sending you $300. Then next week they'll send you the next $300, and the week after that they'll send you $300. Finally, Kentucky and Montana remain the 2 states that are throwing in the $100 on top of it. So the Hot Mess Express. What should you be thinking? People still ask me, LALATE, are we getting a second stimulus check? Yes. When are we getting the second stimulus check? I give the easy answer. Not in August. What month? It depends on what Nancy's drinking today. It's just all over the place. And this is why I don't predict things with this channel. I really can't. I can predict things with Jovita Carranza, but I can't predict things with Nancy Pelosi. When you sit here and you hear things, and I report things, I sometimes think to myself, I can't believe I'm reporting this. I would never have thought 30 days ago I would be reporting this. I would never be thought that I would be reporting 30 days ago that Nancy Pelosi is tweeting what she tweeted last night. If you didn't see it, or maybe it was on Facebook, she said it's been 121 days or something since the Democrats passed the HEROES Act, and this is her words, and the Republicans have done nothing. My response by tweet was, okay, it's been 15 days since you walked out of negotiations for the second stimulus check, and you have indicated you have no indications to walk back into the negotiation room. So it's, I would hope someone of the Democrats wake up. A lot of people have also asked me, who is this, who is the person to stand up to Nancy and the Democratic Party to get this done? I mean, this is a call to action, not just for me and for you, Purple Power, but a call to action for some Democrat to finally step up to Nancy Pelosi and say, enough is enough. I'm going to step in and get this done. Is it AOC? I don't know. I mean, AOC was standing up to Nancy Pelosi last Friday on the Kennedy nomination, the Kennedy endorsement. But who would do this on behalf of the Democrats? There has to be someone. If you find someone that is in your jurisdiction that supports this purple power, then tell me, because we need to get this going among a Democrat other than Nancy Pelosi. You don't have to remove Nancy Pelosi. You don't have to kick her out. You don't have to, I've seen all these verbs in the last 24 hours. All you have to do is get a different person into the negotiation room with Steve Mnuchin on behalf of the Democrats. You're like, you do it, LA. I can do it. I mean, I can certainly do it, but no one's going to listen to me on behalf of the other Democrats. I have to have Democratic support to be the person negotiating. So who in the Democrat Party would stand up and get this done? And when? Drop your comments below. Post them on Twitter. Tag your people on Twitter. Go to the Frontage channel and hit that subscribe and alert button. Our call to action is to add 25,000 subscribers in 2 weeks, starting from last Saturday. So let's keep it going. Coming up, afternoons at LALATE at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time with the check, hazard pay, FPUC, and rent eviction. Please tune into those videos because, LWA is the third video. It's the most critical video of the week if you are on unemployment benefits. I mean, I'm giving incredible updates by the hour of what FEMA is doing, so please tune into that. Rent eviction, I'm posting grant money all the time. I posted 2 more things about grant money, so that's why you have to be subscribed and alert. I posted 2 overnight, and as always, stay motivated, stay inspired, stay positive, stay focused, and save LA for more.